Jesus! Happy Sunday. All right. How y'all doing? This is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I hope you guys enjoy what you're about to see. Today I'm going to talk about a cold case from Texas. Hailey Dunn, 13-year-old cheerleader that went missing in 2009. What's said here stays here. I don't know why I just said that. Kind of feeling rowdy today. I don't know. I enjoyed the live yesterday. Most of the things that I talk about here in this channel are speculatory in nature, but they are backed up by facts and they are researched by myself until I can give the story straight rather than just speculating the whole thing. And that's what I'm hoping to do today. I have some interesting footage that I took earlier that I'm going to show you. I've kind of done this story before, but I'm going to be able to give a little newer insight since I was actually there today. Hi, Harley. How you doing? Welcome to my show. I've never seen you before, so welcome. So if you enjoy true crime, other cases than the Sebastian case, other cases than the Idaho 4 case, other cases than the Delphi case, and you enjoy some kind of cold cases that not many people have presented lately, stick around. I'm about to show you some interesting stuff. So without further ado, here we go. I'm going to take myself down from here. We'll go from here. Good morning, everybody. This is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to take you to Colorado City, Texas, where on December 23rd, 2010, a local teenager named Hailey Dunn went missing. She supposedly went to stay at a friend's house, but she never made it, and her mother didn't report her missing until 2 days later. She was thought to be a runaway, so she was treated as a runaway. And then she became a missing person. There is Chestnut Street. This is the street where Hailey lived. There's the water tower for Colorado City, Texas. And we're going down this street. Her father lived not far from her home. This home has been demolished, so there's not going to be anything on the lot, but just a plain lot. So it's not like we're going to be able to see the home. But it gives you some kind of insight to where her home was. We're right where her home was, right here. This is where Hailey Dunn used to live. And her dad lived right across the street. And on that day, supposedly, he didn't see her. The dad didn't see her. The mom's boyfriend saw her in the morning, but he went to work and then supposedly quit and then came back home and did not see her. Okay, I'm about to take you down the path. If you can imagine a home being right here, this is the path that the dogs picked up on. They came down this direction. Obviously, they didn't make a stop like I'm doing. And I'm pretty sure they didn't go in the middle of the road, but as you can see, this is a block over. This is Locust Street. I used to live there. This is Locust Street. And supposedly the dog picked up on a scent. And there were rumors that she had been seen walking this direction. Those rumors have never been collaborated or even found to be true or false. So as I'm telling you, as I'm showing you actually, her scent was tracked this direction. And she ended up, I think it's this Super 8 right here. If it's not the Super 8, it's the one following it. But I'm pretty certain it was this one right here. The people that spotted, see, this is Chestnut Street. So if she went through that way, or even this way, because they never gave a clear description which direction, but either way, whether a block away or straight down the street, I don't think it was this one because I don't think this was built yet. I'm going to show you the other one because it's a block over. That one wasn't built yet, the Super 8. So there's Interstate 20, which is probably about 3 or 4 blocks away from her home where she used to live. It was this one right here, this Motel 6 is where her scent stopped. Right there. That's where her scent stopped. And that is a block over, and that is on Vine Street. So as you can see, the interstate is right there. And her mom's boyfriend worked in Snyder, Texas, where up here at the light, you make a left, and that'll take you all the way to Snyder. So a little bit of rundown on this. Her boyfriend, our mother's boyfriend, took her mom to Snyder, where she worked at a nursing home or something of that nature. And then he came home, and then he went back to Snyder, supposedly went in, got a Dr. Pepper, clocked out, or didn't even clock in. He left all his stuff, and then drove back to Colorado City, where the phone pings picked him up near the house. And then he ended up supposedly driving to Big Spring to his mother's house, where he spent some time on the family computer, and then he failed a polygraph test. The mother failed a polygraph test. She was briefly incarcerated due to harboring her ex-boyfriend. And I will diagram this case for you when I'm in front of the camera, because right now I'm driving, but I'm just giving you the basis of it. As you can see, I'm on I-20 heading east. And if anybody were to pick Hailey up, there'd be nothing to stop them from here to wherever they ended up. So her body or her remains were found in Scurry County, which is Snyder area, at a lake called um, Lake J.B. Thomas by an individual out looking for arrowheads, and her remains were found. It was later discussed that she died of blunt force trauma to the head, and it's a big old thing. I did a case video on this, but I'm going to do a different one just strictly with Hailey Dunn. That way you can understand the situation. The mom's ex-boyfriend's name was Sean Atkins, and he was arrested recently, and he spent a year in jail for the murder of Hailey Dunn. But then he was released. So technically this case is either ongoing or it's gone cold. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to focus on this case and give it more light and insight. And I will give you more details when I'm going live with this information later. Or as I'm playing this, you will see it after this video. Stay tuned. Heading down I-20 East. Okay. So I recorded that this morning, and I wanted to give you a little bit of kind of boots on the ground type, footage to be able to see exactly what they're about to talk about. The father's about to give an interview, and I want to give a shout out to Truly Criminal. Their channel is the one that to put this video out. I'd like to say hello to Harley, Aquarius, and Rondi. Thank you for being in the chat. Hope you guys are doing well. Feel free to ask any questions along the way. Feel free to comment or talk about this case as I'm talking about it. It is going to be quite a lengthy one. I'm going to give you the update on Sean Atkins at the very end, and it's going to discuss basically what went on with this case. It's kind of a windy road type of a case. This was in 2009. Right after Christmas, she went missing. They considered her a runaway. What happened was her mom went to work. Her mom didn't report her missing for a day and a half, almost 2 days. She's supposed to go stay the night at some friends' houses, a friend's house, and she never made it. Her mom came home from work that night, didn't think to call Hailey or anything. When she wasn't home the next day, then all of a sudden people went into, okay, where's Hailey? So it's going to go from here. This individual right here that you see on the screen, this is Clint Dunn. This is Hailey's father. And it's going to give you the rundown. I may have got some dates wrong in the boots on the ground kind of video that I was putting this morning. I was kind of going off adrenaline on shooting all that. But one thing that I want you to think about in all these cases is how quickly they're able to demolish the homes. Like this home was demolished as well, probably a year after. And so there's no more evidence to be able to go on through. Even though they arrested the individual, he got off the charges of murder for the murder of Hailey Dunn. So there's no suspect at this point. That's why I'm continuing to stream this. So let's go ahead and listen to the father and listen to the background of the case and let me know what you guys think. Okay, here we go. This is Clint Dunn.
I've been staying out of the way of law enforcement all this time. I thought I was doing the best thing by not coming down on law enforcement. And it's been too many years of no action. Nothing's been done. So I'm tired of waiting. I had the investigator over the case right now out of Scurry County. He told me one time, he said he doesn't care if it takes 20 years to do this. And I do care if it takes 20 years. I don't want the person that hurt my kid that doesn't need to walk the street for 20 years.
Thirteen-year-old Hailey Dunn came from the small town of Colorado City in Texas. With a population of just under 4,000 people, the area Hailey was from had a particularly tight community. Hailey was described by her dad Clint as a tomboy that loved glittery and pretty things. Her mom, Billie Jean Dunn, said she always remembers her laugh, big smile, and how funny she was. She was a bright and energetic teenager. Hailey's friends said she loved to joke around and she was never afraid to speak her mind. She was a cheerleader, a saxophone player, and a competitive and talented athlete, loving school, her friends, and her teachers. By the time she reached the 8th grade, she was playing for the volleyball, basketball, and softball teams. Her parents would separate when she was 10, and Hailey and her older brother David went to live with their mother and her boyfriend, Sean Adkins, on Chestnut Street in Colorado City. Hailey and her dad Clint were especially close. Clint lived just across the road from them, and Hailey would swing by his house every day. Whether it be just popping in to say hi before school or staying over for dinner, she never missed an opportunity to spend time with him. Christmas Day 2010. Hailey's grandmother Connie said that Hailey was in great spirits that day. She was excited about the gifts she had received that year, especially her new iPod, and spent most of Christmas and Boxing Day with her father. During the evening on Boxing Day, David, Hailey's 16-year-old brother, went to a friend's house for a sleepover. Hailey stayed at home and played video games into the night. The following morning, December 27th, Sean left for work at 5:30 a.m. Billie Jean also left about an hour later to start a 12-hour shift. She said she checked in on Hailey, who was sound asleep in her bed. Everything appeared to be fine. Billie said that Hailey would be home alone all day, as she and Sean would be out at work. And she assumed that when Hailey got up, she would simply head over to her dad's house as she normally would. Billie also left her cell phone at home so the children could use it if they needed to. Sean arrived at his job in Snyder at around 6 a.m. He then said he got into a bad fight with his boss 10 minutes after he arrived and ended up quitting on the spot before heading to his mother's house in Big Spring and then driving back to Colorado City just before 3 p.m. Hailey's father Clint was used to seeing his daughter every day, but on December 27th, Hailey didn't knock his door, and he didn't hear from her all day. At around 2 o'clock that afternoon, a text was sent from the cell phone left at the house to a friend of Hailey's saying, "WYD, what you doing?" This friend never replied. Later that evening, Sean picked Billie up from work. Billie said that when she got home...
So let me pause it right here for a second. If you have a child that is very methodical with their daily routine, okay? She went to her father's house whenever she would wake up. That's what this individual said. She would head over to her father's, and that day she didn't. So, methodical, same type behaviors, and then all of a sudden it stops. Chat, let me ask you this question. Is that a red flag? We're talking true crime here, so is that a red flag? We're we're talking very early on in the case. So that is a red flag, correct? So methodical, discipline, same behavior. So she stopped doing that on that day. So let's continue on.
Home, she realised Hailey wasn't in the house. She asked Sean if he had seen her. He said that Hailey had left the house on foot to go to her father's, and then had plans to stay the night at her friend Mary Beth's house. But Clint confirmed this definitely wasn't the case.
That was my day. And then I came home around, I guess, like 3 o'clock. I got there, and Hailey was there watching TV in the living room. And I went to me and Billy's bedroom, and she came in there and told me that she was going to her father's house and that she was staying the night with a friend. And then she left. And then I was there by myself for maybe an hour at the most. And then David and a friend came over, and I went to his room, and they were playing video games and so forth. And Billy called me and told me that that her relief got there and that she's going to get to leave a little early. So I was up there at the hospital in Snyder around 6 o'clock to pick her up, and then we came back.
Okay. He never mentioned during any of that he told the mother that the child was going to spend the night at somebody's house. You two women, I take it, Rhonda, you're a woman. Okay, if I'm wrong, excuse me. But wouldn't you believe that as a boyfriend or somebody of significant other, you would notify the mother or the father, whichever scenario it is, as soon as the child notifies you that they're wanting to go stay the night at a friend's house? You would not take the liberty. Okay, good. You would not take the liberty to just say, okay, I'll tell your mom. Or you might even say, hey, I'll tell your mom when I talk to her, or be sure to call your mom. She had the cell phone in case of emergencies. But he did not mention any of that in this interview. Do you feel that that is a red flag? Is that something to look into? He didn't mention it. I mean, I didn't hear it. Did y'all hear it? So if somebody else's daughter is going to spend the night at somebody else's house, you would think that out of courtesy, you would contact the custodial parent. Even Clint, you'd say, hey, I'm going to call your dad and let him know that you're going to go stay the night. Maybe he didn't have it like that with him, but surely he had it like that with the mother because he was dating the mother. There you go. You would have talked to her yourself. There's another red flag.
And then we went to bed shortly after that.
And this whole time you were thinking Hailey was at a friend's house?
Yes.
About what time did she say she was leaving at?
What time Hailey was leaving?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was sometime in between 3 and 3:30 when she said she was leaving. It was like shortly after I got there. I'm not real sure about a time.
Does she normally call and check in every so often, or is it normal to not hear from her for so long?
It's pretty normal for her just to not call, because she usually does that, though, because she does stay the night at a friend's house. She'll be back the next morning.
The next morning came and went, and Hailey was still not home. Billy decided to phone Mary Beth's parents, who confirmed they hadn't seen Hailey at all, and she definitely didn't spend the night with them. Nothing was missing from Hailey's room, and certain things everyone would have expected her to take if she was staying at someone's house were all still there. Billy started going door to door, asking everyone if they had seen her daughter. But no one had. Billy said she was scared that maybe someone had driven past and snatched her while she was walking to a store, and she even wondered if maybe Hailey had been in a bad mood, which resulted in her storming out of the house that day. A missing persons report was filed on the afternoon of the 28th of December. Investigators initially classed Hailey's disappearance as a runaway, but a short while later,
Okay, how many times have we heard that with other cases? You know, she disappeared on the 26th. They didn't confirm her missing person until the 28th. So that's 2 days. I don't know if that's the law, but instantly they thought, the police department thought that she was a runaway. If you're going to run away from home, she had just gotten an iPad, an iPod or something, the early on where you download music to this and you can hear it, you can listen to it with headphones. I think it's an iPod. She would have taken that with her, would she not? She would have taken clothes with her. She would have done this, that, and the other. She was supposedly going to spend the night at her friend's house. What would make you think that she was a runaway if she didn't even go? She didn't make it there. What would make her run away? What were some of the circumstances that this law enforcement saw to determine that she was a runaway, not a missing person, until 2 days later? Did y'all hear anything, guys, in the chat? Did you hear anything that would give you obvious understanding that this could have been a runaway? Let me back it up a little bit here.
Billy started going door to door, asking everyone if they had seen her daughter. But no one had. Billy said she was scared that maybe someone had driven past and snatched her while she was walking to a store, and she even wondered if maybe Hailey had been in a bad mood, which resulted in her storming out of the house that day. A missing persons report was filed on the afternoon of the 28th of December. Investigators initially classed Hailey's disappearance as a runaway, but a short while later, her case was reclassified as a missing child case. This was a decision that the police would later receive immense backlash for making. The community rallied around the family and sprung into action to try and find Hailey. The media quickly ran with the story too. Clint was devastated and distraught at his daughter's disappearance, and he spent every waking moment looking for her. He rifled through dumpsters, searched the streets and alleyways, and anywhere else he could think of. People reported that this level of concern was not shared by Billy and Sean. As the searches expanded into more vast and open areas, reporters recalled that Billy didn't want to partake in these searches. Billy herself said that while she was happy to hand out flyers and talk to the media, she couldn't deal with looking in wooded areas or fields, because that made her think they were looking for her daughter's body. Searching these more rural areas was also something that Clint struggled to do. Billy's boyfriend Sean, however, didn't even hand out flyers, let alone participate in the searches, and he was very far removed from the investigation. Numerous people were questioned, including registered sex offenders in the area.
Okay, have we heard that recently with the Sebastian case? How one family didn't participate in the searches and therefore they were looked upon as being part of the crime. He didn't participate. This guy didn't participate at all in the searches or the flyers. The mom handed out flyers, but she wouldn't go into the wooded areas or to any of the other areas because she thought in her head that she could be looking for her daughter's body. Rhonda, you say that you can't blame her for that. That's understandable.
But everyone was quickly ruled out. Wednesday, December 29th, Clint and Billy's homes were searched, and a day later, the National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children got involved in the case. Dogs managed to track Hailey's scent throughout the neighbourhood, which led them to a nearby motel. But the staff there did not recall seeing Hailey, and she wasn't seen on any of the surveillance footage either. A thorough search of all 24 suites in the building failed to produce any evidence that Hailey had ever been there. Billy and Sean threw a New Year's Eve party on the 31st, just 4 days after Hailey was reported missing, and many people were confused at the timing of this. Billy said she didn't even realise it was New Year's Eve, and that the reason that family and friends came over was to support her. But Clint had a different take. He said that he stood on his porch with binoculars looking for his daughter, watching Billy and Sean party into the night. "I don't see how you can just celebrate the new year when your daughter is missing," he said. "That should be the last thing on your mind." As the new year rolled around, the close community entered it with a somber and subdued feeling. With still no trace, sighting of, or word from Hailey Dunn, the lengthy and painstaking searches continued.
Well, Lane and Victor, we're going into day 9 in the search for Hailey Dunn, and there's still no sign of her. When I visited with the Dunn family this morning, I saw Texas Rangers scouring through Hailey's room. If we take a look over here, this is the window to her bedroom. Now, Texas Rangers, I'm told, have not found anything and no sign of foul play or any sign of her packing her bags and running away from home at this time. More than a week later, and still no sign of Hailey, her mother says it's frustrating, but she remains hopeful.
But I have to do nothing but hope that she left by herself and that she's going to come back to me, because if I don't cling on to that hope, I don't have anything.
Now, local
So, if this case got a lot of publicity in 2009, they were on Nancy Grace. Nancy tore them up. She asked a lot of questions. I don't know. I guess I'll try to find that footage, but I don't know if it's really relevant or not. But she tore the mother up pretty good and the boyfriend, to the fact that where they didn't even want to go on Nancy Grace anymore. The fact of the matter is this: if you were to be looking at, and this is not relevant either, but I want to show you how social media is so quick to decipher guilt or innocence on people. Did you see the mother's face and her demeanor? Did she look like a torn up mother who was looking for her missing 13-year-old daughter? The social media would have had, I'm sure they had a field day with that. And I remember hearing a little bit about that mother's guilty. She doesn't care about her daughter. She's she's not out there searching, kind of like with the Sebastian case. This is the biological mother. So the ex-boyfriend would be just another person. And then we have a biological dad who doesn't know where his daughter is. So chat, tell me, did just that little basic view on the mother, does she appear broken up about her daughter's disappearance? Not that it matters. I just want y'all's opinion on that. I keep interrupting this, but I want
over here, this is the window to her bedroom. Now, Texas Rangers, I'm told, have not found anything and no sign of foul play or any sign of her packing her bags and running away from home at this time. More than a week later, and still no sign of Hailey, her mother says it's frustrating, but she remains hopeful.
But I have to do nothing but hope that she left by herself and that she's going to come back to me, because if I don't cling on to that hope, I don't have anything.
Now, local authorities tell me they're following several tips at this time. Several agencies have stepped in, and the reward once again is $25,000 for tips that lead to Hailey Dunn.
On January 4th, 2011, Texas Rangers and the FBI came on board to look into Hailey's disappearance. More than 100 billboards featuring Hailey's picture and information were set up throughout Texas and other states. Hailey's case gained even more attention when Nancy Grace reported on it and interviewed Billie Jean Dunn. This took the case to a new national level.
Hailey's case was on national television, and Nancy Grace seemed to be a little hard on you. What was that like, hearing her question Billie like that?
I heard about it. I wasn't there when Billie was getting interviewed by her. I was talking to the Texas Rangers, but I heard about it, and it's frustrating, what she said about me, but it really doesn't bother me because, my main focus is just Hailey. We just want her to come home safe.
Does it hurt to think people would point fingers at you, the person who cares about her?
Yeah, it hurts. It does.
Describe to me the relationship between you and Hailey.
It's really good relationship, and I love her with all my heart, and I believe she loves me with all her heart, and we get along just fine.
See, is there anything else you want people to know about you and your relationship with the family at all? Because it seems like a lot of people are buzzing on the internet about it.
Yeah, as far as me, Hailey, And Billy and David, we all get along just fine. And I would never do nothing to that little girl. I love her with all my heart. And I just wish for her safe return.
The following day, January the 5th, Billy asked Sean to leave the home. This was not an uncommon thing, as the pair frequently rowed, often making up a few days later. But as the investigation was now deepening, more about Hailey's home life started to come out. Reporters said that although her home life appeared to be simple and carefree from the outside, behind closed doors, it was far more complex and difficult for the 13-year-old and her brother. One reporter said, "We got word about a lot of alcohol, a lot of partying from her mother, and so you get the sense that maybe home life was a little harder than what they let on." Billie Jean Dunn and Sean Adkins had been on the police's radar long before Hailey disappeared. Around 10 months before Hailey was last seen, calls were made to police regarding a domestic disturbance between Billy and Sean. The pair both called the police to report each other, and when officers arrived at the house, the couple were argumentative and combative.
I really need to file a report on somebody.
What exactly happened?
I broke up with this guy a couple of days ago, and he's telling me that he's going to kill me and that it's going to be remembered for a long time.
I got a situation on my hands. I have an ex-girlfriend. She's taking a whole bunch of society pills that I take. So I guess she got them from me. She said she took a bunch of her pain pills too. And she's saying that she wants to die, so she filed a report on me, for threats and stuff like that. So she's just upset about it. She's just, not being herself right now. Threatening to kill her.
Damn it.
As Billy Dunn.
Oh, God. He's been going all day. All right, I'll go up there.
Shortly after this, as was very common, Billy and Sean patched things up, and Sean moved back into the home. Billy herself said that Hailey didn't see Sean as a stepdad or father figure, and they were more friends than anything else. But according to others close to Hailey, she did not like Sean at all, and felt afraid of him.
Things that Hailey used to tell me about the man.
What kind of things?
She didn't like him. She didn't trust him. She was afraid of him.
I don't want to be here right now. I'm going to be here with you because I don't feel right with my stepdad.
She told her grandmother Connie that she would often see Sean's shadow in the middle of the night outside her bedroom door, and she was terrified that he would enter her room as she slept. Detectives asked Billy and Sean to undertake polygraph tests. They both had to retake the tests due to being under the influence of narcotics at the time of the first one. But Billy said this was simply an anti-anxiety medication that had been prescribed to her by her doctor. Sean Adkins walked out of the test at least twice, and on the third attempt he only completed stage 1. He said he felt it had become a witch hunt and they were trying to force him into admitting to something he hadn't done. But he did give the detective something. When he was asked about where he thought Hailey might be, Sean responded, in Scurry County. When asked who the police should be looking at as suspects, he simply replied, "Both of us." The test did show these two answers were truthful, but he refused to explain any further before walking out again and not completing stage 2. The results of Billy's second polygraph test and stage 1 of Sean's both showed that deception was indicated on several questions.
I want to thank everyone for coming this afternoon and giving me an opportunity to make a statement. First, I want to speak directly to Hailey in case she's listening. Wherever you are, Hailey, I'm looking for you. Hundreds of people are looking for you. We all want you home safe. I just want to see and touch your beautiful face. I really love you. I desperately need you home. And there's not a minute goes by I'm not praying for you or crying, wishing you were in my living room. I can't handle not knowing where you are or if you're safe. You're the most beautiful girl I've ever laid my eyes on, and I'm very proud that God chose me to be your mother. Next, I want to say if someone out there has me, please let her go. Just turn her loose, drop her off at a church, a school, police station, anywhere. that she can get to a phone and call police or call her family. I've been flat out called a liar by some people. Others speculate on my possible involvement in Hailey's disappearance or wonder if I'm covering up for somebody. Some people accuse me of withholding information and not cooperating with law enforcement. These things are not true, but I now feel that I have to defend myself from ridiculous accusations, slander, or defamation of character.
Over the coming months, vigils and searches continued throughout Colorado City, but the volunteers were often hindered for weeks at a time due to the freezing temperatures. Colorado City Police then held a press conference. They said they were now investigating the case as if Hailey was under duress or deceased. Early into the investigation, cell phone and bank records belonging to both Sean Adkins and Billie Jean Dunn were analysed. Sean's previous place of work was also looked at. It turned out that Sean hadn't been fired from his job after all. His boss told investigators that Sean turned up for work at 6 a.m. on December 27th and bought a drink before handing in his uniform and quitting on the spot. And at 6:10, he drove away. Sean later admitted he had lied about being fired to try and avoid an argument with Billie Jean. Sean told detectives that he went straight from Snyder to his mother's house in Big Spring to use her computer to sign on to unemployment benefits. But cell phone records showed this was simply not possible. Between 6:35 and 6:56 a.m., Sean's phone pinged off of a tower in Colorado City, which was almost 50 miles away from Big Spring. The data did put him in Big Spring, but not until between the hours of 9:38 a.m. and 2:40 p.m. More cell phone tower pings also put Sean in the area of Scurry County that day. Sean told police that after visiting his mother's house, he was back in Colorado City by 3 p.m. and saw and spoke to Hailey for the last time at 3:15, before she left to go to her father's. However, more mobile data confirmed that Sean was still in Big Spring at 2:40 p.m., which would have left him with just a 20-minute window to make a 40-mile drive. David, Hailey's brother, said when he returned home on December 27th at around 4 p.m., he found the door was locked. After knocking for a while to try and get in, he managed to enter the home through a window. David found Sean standing in the hallway, looking like a deer in headlights. In an affidavit, Hailey's uncle recalled a conversation he had had with Sean regarding her disappearance. Her uncle said he couldn't believe anyone would ever want to hurt a child. Sean replied, "It's like killing a deer." Bank records showed that after Sean picked up Billie from work at around 6 p.m, the couple stopped at 2 ATM machines where Billie withdrew a total of $140. Billie originally told the police that the money was withdrawn to buy groceries and gas, but investigators later realised the pair used the money to buy narcotics. Concerned that Sean and Billie were potentially using narcotics inside the family home around children, detectives wanted to take a much closer look inside the house. Following this, detectives found that Billie and Sean had printed hundreds of articles found online, all of which profiled and talked about serial killers, sexual sadism, and family member murders. But Billie said this was just something they were interested in, and that plenty of people were into true crime. On January 12, 2011, it was revealed that Sean was now officially being considered a person of interest in the case. He, however, denied any involvement. David was then removed from the home by Child Protective Services. On February 24th, authorities made a shocking find. Over 100,000 images of child pornography on a memory stick were found in Billie's home and on a computer in Sean's mother's house. A laptop was also seized and held at the station. Hailey's father Clint said that Sean's stepfather went to the police station demanding the laptop be returned to Sean, which it was.
So all those images on that computer, not an arrest, not even a police report filed that I know of. No arrest. Let's hear what the authorities have to say.
Arrests were not made regarding these findings, however, but it was presented to a grand jury. Sheriff Toombs said of this, "You have more than one person in the home in each case, so you have to make sure and verify who is going to be the one responsible." On March 17, 2011, authorities went to Billie and Sean's home to talk to Sean. Billie said he wasn't there, But when officers entered the home using a warrant, they found he was hiding inside the house. Billy was then arrested and charged with lying to the police. In June 2011, Billie Jean Dunn was sentenced to a suspended 90-day jail term and a year's probation for lying about Sean's whereabouts. Billie served her probation over 250 miles away in Travis County, where she had moved with Sean. The couple did eventually break up in 2012 and went their separate ways. Billie Jean said she started to believe he was involved in her daughter's disappearance after it was confirmed that, as well as local police, the FBI also considered him to be a person of interest. As time went on, searches for Hailey began to dwindle. With each vigil that was held, tips and leads would slowly start to trickle in, only for the case to go cold again shortly after. Another year would pass, with still no movement in Hailey's case. But on March 16, 2013, a hiker found human remains 20 miles away from Colorado City, near Lake J.B. Thomas in Scurry County.
2013, local authorities were notified of human remains located near Lake J.B. Thomas in southwest Scurry County. The remains were sent to the University of North Texas Center for Human Identification for DNA analysis. On April 26, 2013, the Scurry County District Attorney's Office received written confirmation that the remains have been positively identified as those of Hailey Dunn.
Authorities did not confirm the cause of death, but Clint said he was told by investigators that Hailey had most likely died from blunt force trauma. A $15,000 reward was offered for any information leading directly to the arrest of the killer or killers of Hailey Dunn. Sadly, the family had to wait a painful 4 years until they could finally lay Hailey to rest in January of 2017.
A Texas mother, desperate to find her daughter's killer, is speaking out. It was 6 years ago when 13-year-old Hailey Dunn went missing after leaving her father's home in Colorado City, that's west of Abilene. Her remains were found 3 years later, but her killer remains at large. Her mother, who is from Austin, says she has hope justice will be served.
I still want to believe every time you tell me that there's going to be an arrest soon. I keep that faith.
In 2018, Clint Dunn told the media he believed his daughter was attacked, either by Sean himself or by his ex-wife Billie Jean Dunn, while Sean assisted. They're both involved, he said. That's not even up for discussion anymore. Clint was constantly in touch with the police, begging them to make an arrest in his daughter's case. But the investigating teams still needed more.
I've been staying out of the way of law enforcement all this time. I thought I was doing the best thing by not coming down on law enforcement. And it's been too many years of no action. Nothing's been done. So I'm tired of waiting. I had the investigator over the case right now out of Scurry County. He told me one time, he said he doesn't care if it takes 20 years to do this. And I do care if it takes 20 years. I don't want the person that hurt my kid that doesn't need to walk the street for 20 years.
You think that person is still out there somewhere?
Yeah. I think he's here in this town. Big Spring, Texas.
You think he's in Big Spring?
Mm-hmm. I know he was 2 months ago.
You have somebody in mind?
Sean Atkins.
You think it's Sean Atkins, the only named suspect?
Yep. And I think that Billie Jean knows something. She said too many lies. She's avoided too much. And she knows more than what she said.
Clint Dunn's many appeals on social media caught the attention of an anonymous person who reportedly found several items belonging to Hailey Dunn during late spring, early summer of 2011. The person who found the items was in middle school at the time and had no knowledge of Hailey or her disappearance. Because of this, they did not tell the authorities about what they had found. In 2019, this person saw one of Clint's social media posts about Hailey. It was only then they remembered what they had found. They reached out to Clint to tell him. The items and their location has not been publicly revealed, But Clint said they were found in an area that was searched countless times in the initial stages of the investigation. Private investigator Erica Morse has been working closely with Clint Dunn since his daughter disappeared. Erica said she uncovered evidence and spoke to officials that said they had been silent since Hailey's remains were found. She said they wouldn't return her calls or update anyone on whether there was any movement in the case. In October 2019, Erica said she began receiving messages from women in and around West Texas who were being harassed online by a man going by the name of Casey. Knowing this was Sean Adkins' middle name, she asked them to send the videos and photos to her that he had sent to them. These confirmed that it was him. On October 28, 2019, Erica accompanied one of the women that was being harassed by him to the police department to make a report. But they were turned away by an officer who accused the victim of fabricating the story. This pushed Erica to pen an open letter, urging that if Sean wasn't arrested soon, more victims would undoubtedly follow. But 2 more years would pass, and it wouldn't be until 2021 where the case would take a big turn. In May 2021, Erica did hear back from the Mitchell County District Attorney, and they requested a meeting with her and Clint. Erica said, "During that meeting, we were assured that during the month of June, Hailey's killer would be arrested." And with this, more than a decade after Hailey Dunn was reported missing, and 7 years after her remains were found, an arrest was finally made.
Reaction from Colorado City tonight is emotional and also getting straight to the point. Sean Adkins is sitting in the Mitchell County Jail tonight, charged for the murder of 13-year-old Hailey Dunn. She first went missing over 10 years ago. You know, this community, they have spent more than a decade searching for a young girl, searching for answers, searching really for justice. We are a step closer to that tonight. The arrest of Sean Adkins is what the community of Colorado City has been waiting on for a long time.
District Attorney Ricky Thompson consulted with the Texas Rangers Unsolved Crimes Investigation Program regarding the case. The Texas Rangers then obtained a search warrant to get a sample of Sean's DNA. On June 13, 2021, a warrant was issued and Sean Casey Adkins was arrested and charged with the murder of Hailey Dunn. Billy Dunn said, "I'm not really shocked at the news that it was Sean. Of course, you would have hoped it wasn't him because I stayed with him after she left, after Hailey went missing, but I'm not surprised. And I thank God that that person has been apprehended and is going to pay for what he did here on Earth." Sean Adkins is currently being held on a $2 million bond, and as of July 2021, he has not yet entered a plea.
The KCBD Investigates team, the Mitchell County District Attorney's Office has released a single page from Sean Adkins' arrest warrant. He is the man police hold responsible for killing Hailey Dunn in Colorado City. Big Spring police arrested him last month, but we don't know why. When KCBD requested the arrest warrant, we were sent to Mitchell County, and the DA there refused, citing Texas law, claiming it blocked us from access to this public record since it involves the alleged abuse and death of a child. So now, while we're waiting on the Attorney General to rule on this decision, in the meantime, it has been 10 days since our request for the entire arrest warrant and affidavit. We have only this part of the warrant so far, ordering any law enforcement agent to arrest Sean Adkins for the charge of murder out of Colorado City. But that does not shed any light on what led Mitchell County to that conclusion. So our Investigates team will keep pursuing your right to know about what police say led to the death of Hailey Dunn.
Following Sean's arrest, Erica Morse referred to Hailey's dad Clint as the driving force in the case and said that he was a template for every parent who wants to find justice for their child. Clint said, "Right now, there are no words to define how I feel. We will let the child speak the truth. Thank you to everyone who searched for Hailey and to those who fought tirelessly for an arrest. Hopefully, true justice will come in the courtroom." This case is still ongoing, but the family hopes that this will see that justice for Hailey Dunn is finally served.
Okay, before I play the update, give me some feedback, guys. What do you think about the video? It was quite telling. There was some red flags in there. There was some things in there that were stated that if people were just reading this, they could pass by it. Early on, I was as fanatical about this case as I am about the Idaho 4 case. I was reading every document. I was listening to every TV report because I was from the area. Even though I wasn't living in that area anymore, I was still concerned with the whole situation. It was also rumored that Hailey had been trafficked for a drug debt that her mom owed, an $140 drug debt. So she was trafficked to Odessa, where she was seen by people, mainly an inmate that later came forward and said that she saw her at a trailer with a shaved head. And the owner of that trailer later came out and stated that they had killed her because she was being too rowdy, I guess. They give her a hot shot. They buried her back behind the Ector County Coliseum, supposedly. And then they moved her. And then ultimately they found her in Scurry County. I don't know how true that is. There's a lot of speculation. There's another individual by the name of Buddy Webb that is out of Midland, Texas. And he has some videos where he's actually talked to these individuals. Hopefully I'm going to reach out to Hailey's dad, Clint, see if he'll be willing to come up on the panel and discuss some of his daughter's case and some of the things that maybe he may be going through to give some insight on what a missing child or a murdered child parent go through in the process of finding justice for their child. He was arrested for murder and then he was released. So let me play the updated video on why they let him go.
The story of Hailey Dunn has taken many twists and turns, but ever since an arrest was made in the case, the twists and turns seem to be over. But on Monday, a new twist spun the Hailey Dunn case into a spiral when a man arrested for Hailey's murder was released from jail. 13-year-old Colorado City cheerleader Hailey Dunn went missing on December 27, 2010. Her remains were found 3 years later in Scurry County. For a while, the case stalled, growing colder and colder by the day, until June of 2021, when Sean Adkins, Hailey's mother's live-in boyfriend, was arrested by the Texas Rangers. According to his arrest affidavit, authorities believe he struck Dunn in the head with a blunt object and intentionally tampered with her corpse. Atkins was indicted for murder by a grand jury and awaited his trial. And after spending 2 years behind bars, Atkins walked out of prison as a free man. Dunn's private investigator said the prosecutor dropped the charges at the request of the FBI. She said the case was dismissed without prejudice. This means that the state can refile the charges against Atkins at a later date. Documents obtained by Newswest 9 reveal why Atkins was dismissed. The documents explain that further investigation is needed in order to prove the elements of the offenses beyond a reasonable doubt. The prosecution still views Atkins as the primary suspect. However, additional work must be done before the case can proceed to the jury trial. The documents explain how this is a complex circumstantial case. Several leads and potential evidence were collected and worked with for over a decade. This includes soil, cell records, and even a polygraph test not mentioned in the documents. One of the pieces of evidence include a soil analysis conducted by a soil expert. Work boots of Atkins were obtained with a high degree of chemical similarity with soil samples collected from the remains site. The soil samples were sent to an FBI crime lab, where forensic scientists determined that the soil sample from the boot did not match the soil samples near Dunn's remains. While preparing for the trial, the state of Texas met with the FBI and learned that the testing method used is not a testing methodology sanctioned by the forensic science community for soil analysis. The FBI stands by their original testing and doesn't believe that the testing should be relied on in a criminal trial. When Dunn's body was found in 2013, a forensic anthropologist observed blunt force injuries to her skull and determined the injuries to be inflicted at or near the time of death. This would have likely resulted in significant bleeding. While multiple searches of the house were conducted by law enforcement, there wasn't any forensic testing done in the house in the immediate aftermath of Hailey's disappearance in 2010. Multiple searches of the car, as well as the location of Dunn's remains, were conducted by law enforcement. As a result of the searches, some evidence were collected that were never forensically tested. Before this case proceeds to trial, that evidence should be thoroughly tested to determine if it has any value. Another major piece of evidence was the cell records and cell tower records of Hailey and Atkins. After analysis of these records, on December 27, 2010, Dunn sent a text at 2:16 p.m. and 2:27 p.m. At the same time, Atkins' cell connected to a cell tower in Big Spring, Texas at 1:53 p.m. and 2:40 p.m. Atkins also took a call at 2:56 p.m., which connected to a cell tower along I-20 east of Big Spring, but west of Colorado City. A minute later, an incoming call to Dunn's cell phone connected to the cell tower in Colorado City. These facts show that Dunn might have been alive before 2:57 p.m. on December 27th. There were also issues with the timeline. The day before, on December 26th, Hailey's brother spent the night with two friends, returning home on December 27th at about 5 p.m. When he got there, according to the document, he talked to Atkins, and Hailey wasn't there. At 6 p.m., Atkins left and picked up Hailey's mother from work in Snyder, Texas. Atkins wasn't alone again until the following morning. Putting all this together, the documents say that if Hailey was alive when Atkins arrived at home, he would have been alone at Hailey for at most about 2 hours from about 3 p.m. to about 5 p.m. This would mean Atkins would have had to kill her, clean up any blood and other incriminating evidence in the home, and hide her body in a relatively short amount of time. While not impossible, it brings more challenges given the prior issues. In the conclusion section of the documents, it states that there is no direct eyewitness to Dunn's murder, nor any known current forensic science evidence directly linking Atkins to the murder. Due to all these factors, the current state of the evidence is not sufficient for the prosecution to proceed to trial. The prosecution believes that additional investigation is needed. Although Atkins was dismissed without prejudice by Mitchell County, prosecution still considers Atkins their leading suspect. And maybe with this additional investigation, the case of Hailey Dunn can finally reach its end. If you want to read the documents for yourself, visit newswest9.com. The story of Hailey Dunn.
That's quite interesting. They were both on methamphetamine. It was regarded early on in the investigation. So all of that behind the scenes stuff, do you see how easily it looks like a slam dunk case? And when you get other things around it, not so slam dunk. And that's what I'm kind of worried about as far as the Idaho 4. Because many people think that there's not enough evidence, okay? And I'm not going to get to talking on that because I spoke on that yesterday. But think about how in this case, it's easy to see that this guy could have possibly been the one. But then when the documents are being read, and here's the documents. So I'm gonna enlarge these documents so we can see them, so we can read them together. That way you understand why he was let go. Is he guilty? I would say that based on the evidence that I know, yes, but in a court of law, it's totally different. It's not what 12 gauge thinks, it's what the law knows. Okay, so it says state's motion to dismiss prosecution without prejudice. It says the state of Texas by and through the district attorney pursuant to Article 3202 Texas Code of Criminal Procedure seeks to dismiss the prosecution in these causes because further investigation is needed in order to prove the elements of the offenses beyond a reasonable doubt. This motion to dismiss is submitted without prejudice. The state hereby gives notice to defendant that the state has the right to refile these charges at a later date. Okay, so it basically says that It kind of goes through all that, gives you a case that it's cited in order to give what it's talking about. Let me see, where's page 2? It says, pursuant to the state duty to see that justice is done, the prosecution in this case, come on. You serious? Hold on a second, guys. Hang with me. I hate when it does that. There's the beginning, what I just read. It says, this is a complex. Oh my goodness. I guess I'm going to have to show it where it's not as big so I can read it. I can't see it right there though. Okay, pursuant to the state duty to see justice is done, the prosecution in this case believes a further investigation is needed in the state to proceed to trial. To be clear, the prosecution views Sean Casey Atkins as the primary suspect in the Hailey Dunn murder case. Oh, good grief. This is crap. Let me see if I can send it to myself. I'll probably still do the same thing. Anyways, I will look and see if I can somehow get that document pulled up without all the crap that it's trying to make me go through. Let me read what some of you guys are saying over here. Say, okay, so I think he did it, and here's not enough evidence to prove it, but it's just my opinion. It seems like he's gotten lucky for all these years, just like they know he's a sick fuck, but they can't prove it in a court of law. Same. That's wild. I agree with you. I mean, all these years later, and there's no way that they can prove that actually he was the one. Kind of like with the child pornography. The sheriff should be ashamed of himself. There was only 2 adults in that home. There was a underage kid, but what would he be looking at child pornography for? He was underage. And Rondi says he lied from the start. You're very honest there, yes. Over little things. And when they asked him, do you know who we should be looking into this? Supposedly he said yes. Both of us. Who says that? Who said that? You know, that's what I don't understand about these cases is these people implement themselves and then they get caught up in the drama because they want to interject themselves in something that they should have no business interjecting themselves into. None. If you didn't do it, keep your mouth shut, lawyer up, and do something else. Because otherwise your stupidity is going to get you implemented and charged with murder if you're not careful. It's terrible. It's terrible how these individuals just let themselves get sucked into these things. It's terrible. This is a case. Here, I'm going to play you what Nancy Grace had to say about this because this whole case went national. Let's hear what Nancy has to say about this.
The first time I heard about Hailey Dunn's disappearance, it struck me that she's just the all-American little girl. She is a 13-year-old, an 8th grade cheerleader, scrubbed in sunshine. The mom goes to work on an early morning shift at a hospital. The boyfriend, the live-in boyfriend, is at home. The father is basically across the street. It's across the field from them. They think she's going to see a little friend. The little friend says she never shows up. Nobody knew where this little girl was. And that did not become apparent until much later on in the day when nobody knew where Hailey was. That's kind of hard for me to soak in. The search for 13-year-old Hailey Dunn was extensive. Of course, the Texas Rangers started with Hailey's home, the home she shared with her mother, Billy Dunn, and the live-in boyfriend, Sean Atkins. The intensive search did not end with the search of Hailey Dunn's home. It went on to not one but 2 landfills that we know of. An extensive search was done, first a 6-mile radius, and then within a 25-mile radius going out from the home. There were 4-wheelers, horses, dogs, volunteers, police, helicopters, the works. To this day, her body has not been found. I think Hailey Dunn, sadly, was murdered. And what convinces me, among many other things, again, is that her prized possessions in her 8th grade world were her favorite jacket and her MP3 player. They were in the home. I do not believe she ever left that home. You know, it's often said that the devil is in the details, and that is entirely true in the search for Hailey Dunn.
You know, Occam's Razor says usually the most reasonable scenario is the correct one. Good question, Rondi. Good question. I think the mother got custody, so I guess that's why she wasn't living over there. But he lived right next door, you know. A stone throw away. He could sit on his front porch and watch what was going on at that house. You know, in 2009, the camera thing, like it is now, you know, most people have cameras everywhere. I don't think they had a lot of cameras back then. Very true. I don't think they had a lot of cameras back then. So I don't think there was a lot of camera footage that they could have viewed to see whether she even left the home, see what direction she went. And had there been a lot more camera set up, yes, 2009. Had there been a lot more cameras set up, I think that would have been able to tell whether Hailey left the house or whether she didn't. If they saw the ex-boyfriend's car passing through intersections, you know, Um, I don't even know if they got surveillance footage from the stores. As you saw in my video, when I came upon that light, that area that the mom worked and where he worked, you made a left. There was a convenience store right across the street. I don't know whether there was a camera facing the light or not. After I speak with the dad, and hopefully I can get him to come on the panel and get to talk to him a little more about specifics. I might take another trip out there because it's not far away, and walk it this time. And I don't know what just happened. I'll be able to focus on the areas around, and actually be able to show what was going on. That's what I mean. You could see parties and probably suspect in drug use. Of course, I don't know the circumstances. Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, with all that stuff that they gathered, the house was torn down. The city tore the house down because, just like in the Idaho 4 case, it was an eyesore. They couldn't stand to see that house being there. It's almost like people aren't adult enough to see a house, so they got to tear it down. Absolutely. Same. I have opinions and speculation, but I don't judge. I'm not in anybody's shoot or head. That's okay. I mean, because right now, if he's not the one, who did it? You get what I'm saying? They arrested him. Just like with Demetrius and Emma, they have the capability to go back and arrest them if there's more evidence to be seen or found. The same thing in this case. If there's more evidence to be seen or found, then they're able to go back and arrest them, retry him. I guess the point of the whole thing is I'm wondering if it wasn't him, if it wasn't the mom, wasn't the brother, who was it? Because as that news agency pointed out, there would only be from 3 to 5, that's 2 hours, that he would be able to have to be alone with her. Yeah, I'm going to hope that he comes on so I can ask him these questions. Maybe he does have more details that'll give a more clear picture, because the videos, the document, they really don't clarify a lot. But like the news said, from 3 to 5, that's 2 hours. Supposedly he was alone with her. That's 2 hours to kill her, 2 hours to clean it up, 2 hours to dispose of the body, 2 hours to make sure he got all the DNA, all the blood, all the hair, all the stuff that he needed to get so he wouldn't get caught. And let's take this into account again, okay? This is a small town America. Less than 5,000 people. You heard the dispatcher. They're so comfortable that they say anything they want on the radio. Oh, God. She's been going at it all day. So that in itself tells you that those people down at law enforcement, or at least the 911 operators, don't take this situation seriously at all. Much less want to take the initiative to look at it as something more pressing than they probably did. 2 days before they found that she was a missing person. Up until then, they were saying she was a runaway. She ran away, but yet Sean knew where she was supposedly to be going. If you run away, you don't tell anybody where you're going. Is that not the whole basis of running away? I'm running away, but I'm going over here to little Johnny's house. Hope you don't find me. Cat, is that not what you run away? Running away means that you're running away and you hope nobody can find you? I mean, based on the information that came out about the house, and this is no judgment either, but I would have wanted to run away out of that environment. Not some creepy stuff. You know, go into YouTube and Google, or look up the name Sean Atkins, Hailey Dunn case. You're going to see that the guy was into a lot of sadistic shit. He meets the profile. The mother meets the profile. Just law enforcement can't prove it. Exactly. Well, this is all I got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope that you enjoyed the on the boots on the ground kind of stuff on the scene, so give you more of a little insight on the area that we're talking about. Like I said, hopefully I'll get to talk to the father, get him on panel, ask questions, have you guys ask him questions, possibly do feet on the ground, where I walk the area. And hopefully I can get the father to meet me over there and we can do it together. Possibly. So there was drugs involved. There was child pornography involved. There was drinking involved. All that. So if you want to see me kind of dabble into another case, put it in the comment section or even put it on my community page on one of the entries. And I'll do some research on it and try to give you some insight. Because I'm kind of burnt out a little bit on the Idaho 4. I'm still waiting on that information that I told you guys about yesterday. So I don't want to really go any further until I get that information from what I'm waiting for. You guys have a wonderful evening. If you're mothers, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And you guys be safe. Be vigilant of your surroundings. Keep your children close, but give them the independence to make good choices. You guys have a wonderful evening. I'm going to cue the music.